Hello and welcome to the Free Cheese, episode 416. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Mark Augustiniak.
What's up?
Matt Sellner.
Hello.
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. Matt, who else should go into the monkey ball?
Danica Patrick.
I think you took Mark's answer. Mark, who else should go into the monkey ball?
Yeah. Oh, no. Got one. Samba.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was going to say that because he's not already, but yeah, I think they've not confirmed that yet, so yeah. I think you're right. I thought the other day when they revealed... who was the reveal the other day?
The cat from Persona.
Right, Morgana. Yeah. I thought when they were doing that, they were going to say it was Mario, and I felt like they should have done that, but now I feel like they need to do Ryo Hazuki. Get some real good. Let's go full Dreamcast. Get them all. I think, inevitably, everyone should go in the monkey ball.
Well, yeah, Axel's a good one, too.
See what I'm saying, man? Let's just get the whole Sega history inside the monkey ball.
Danica Patrick included.
Yeah, no, you nailed it. You got it in one. Are you guys interested in that monkey ball game?
No.
I am. It's just not at the top of my list.
I'm with you, but I also bought that last monkey ball game that they put out. The other, because neither of these are new, from my understanding. Like, there's new features and characters, but these are just old games. And I don't know. I feel like a new monkey ball would be exciting, but I already have a remaster that I didn't complete, and I'm sure there was a reason for that. But more on remasters in a little bit. It's time to return to our favorite recurring weekly segment, Game of the Year, where we look back over the last 5 years of our Game of the Year deliberations, cross our top 5, and we're ranking 25 plus games in the order of bestest to least bestest. This week's game, our 2017 Game of the Year winner, NieR Automata. I feel like the last 6 weeks I have opened the conversation on every game, so I'm going to kick it to Mark to start off our conversation about NieR Automata.
Like the one who didn't really play it.
Well,
all right. Let me see what I can do here. So, I remember playing the demo, and that blew my mind because I was not expecting this game to be like that at all. But then going into the main game, I forgot how far I got. I think I got to like maybe a little bit after the carnival looking area. And then like I don't know if there's like is there a castle like when you first encounter A2, is that after the carnival?
Yeah, it's after the
I think I stopped like around there. So I don't think I'm that far in the game. Like, that can't be the halfway point. That's like probably before that.
It's far.
I was gonna say, I think you've gone farther than what you think, but when you add in playthrough 1,
the multiple
2,
endings and stuff.
Right. So, but now that we'll see, to throw in the other NieR for a second.
Yeah.
Replicant. I'm almost fully complete that. I think I'm on ending C or D or something like that. Whatever. So, and I can see they took, I feel like the newer version of NieR Replicant, they took notes from this NieR Automata.
Yeah.
And especially with gameplay and whatnot. So, I mean, I could see the similarities there as well from my time with both games. But for Automata, I don't know what I'm trying to figure, like, if anything has, like, bothered me or anything that, like, I just couldn't get over or, like, something that just got, like, just rubbed me the wrong way, and not really too much. Like, it's hard to, like, really knock this game. Not that I'm, like, purposely, trying to. I mean, no game is perfect in my eyes, but this one does a lot of outstanding things that kind of outshine anything else, if it, any blemishes that it, that it has. But, like, the combat I really like, the music, like the overall setting of it, the constant themes that it likes to dive into. And when I talk about dive, like, it gets deep. The meta of it and everything is probably its most distinctive.
And with like a weird sense of humor to it too. Like some of the stuff they'll explore, it's like happening while trash can robots are humping each other in the bottom of a desert hole. But it's, dark and weird.
It's always, like, there's so much context to the most simplistic things, and you never really catch that at first either. This is going to be tough when it comes to placing for sure. But
Matt, how about your game of the? I'm sorry. How about your NieR Automata experience?
Oh, I mean, this is one of the best games I've played in ever, probably. The combat, the way I just, I like how they went full on with they're robots at the end of the day. So like the upgrade system using the RAM chips, I think is really cool. Some of the neat Easter egg things that like Mark was getting at, but like having them be dumb endings, like you ate like a poisonous fish and died ending, but then you get right back right in front of the merchant that sold you that fish or whatever. And so it's very like playful and dumb, but also will get as serious as you needed to be. Especially with some of that stuff late in the game. It goes there. And I mean like late as in like you're starting to go like endings D and C, D, and E, like going towards that path. My one little gripe with this game is how much stuff you retread playing as NieR and his combat, while different, not different enough for me to go back through as much as I went back through. Towards the end, it diverges a little bit, and it makes it a little bit better. But the first half of his campaign, like that was a time that, even though I was like in it, I had to put it down, and I walked away for a couple weeks at least, if not maybe a month or two, before I ended up coming back to finish it. Like leading right into Game of the Year, because I did say I wanted to finish it. And that's probably the one thing I do regret, is when I played it, I was in that let me play as much as I can for Game of the Year. So I zoomed through the campaign. I did not get to appreciate some of the side stuff that was out there. And I know there's some really good side stuff, reading into it after the fact. But this game's great. The combat's awesome. It can be repetitive, but you can also make it as diverse as you want with all the different weaponries, the secondary weaponries, the way you upgrade your, 2B, 9S, 8, whoever it is. This is a great experience. It's one of those games that I recommend to people who are looking for something new to play. And I tell them, just kind of like get yourself in it. And then you'll understand why I recommended this. But this is like a A+ game, maybe A if you include that 9B or 9S area. It's great.
I think at the time I had the same reaction to the 9. Like I remember stopping after the 9S stuff, and this also came out right around the time the Switch came out, and when Breath of the Wild was big. So I remember making the choice to get way into Breath of the Wild and put this down, and the 9S stuff did not help me to go the other way. But now, 2020's one, knowing and playing through Replicant and seeing how A, B, C, they're all the exact same.
Yeah.
And you are literally replay, like it's 9S, like you said, had some divergent from that, and like I think that's the part I now appreciate even more, is like where 9S's campaign did diverge and how you get to see the other side of it, because Replicant, you're replaying the same stuff. But no, that was definitely the weakest part of that game that I think they then also knew, and that's why we got ending C, CD, you know what I mean, like the A2 playthrough and the stuff after that. And Yeah, I remember too, like Mark playing through the demo of that game and being genuinely surprised. Like I remember never having heard of NieR, not once, like not at all. And I think even that, like Matt talks about it all the time, like that Yoko Taro appearance at the Square conference where they talk about it. Like I don't even in that context. By the time Automata was coming out, I didn't even remember that Square thing, even though I remember it. You know what I mean? But like I didn't connect the two. And I was listening to the 8-4 podcast where they said, "Hey, it's out in Japan now, but there's a demo out in America. You should check out the game that we just worked on." And I remember being like, "Yeah, I'll try it. Why not? I'll try a demo." And I put it on. And it was just like unlike anything I'd ever played. It felt like a PS2 game. And I when I say that, I mean that like, and with endearment, not with like the people that are trying to like drive by critic whatever. I legitimately like there's like an earnestness to PS2 games that we don't have anymore, or very rarely do we have it, and like I think it had those qualities to it, and you could feel that right in the demo immediately. Like there was something different about it, and then that entire experience, like I can remember every moment of that experience, and I felt like super relatable in so many ways. And that final ultimate ending through the credits, that whole thing, just like I still melt when I think about it. And like, dude, I bought a heckin' little music box with the end credits song from Square Enix. I have like 30 Square Enix points on their store that I'll never use because I imported this thing. Like, that game, like, holy. Very rarely can we call something a masterpiece, and I think that one is easily that. Yeah, I still like the initial opening when you go between like third person gameplay, third person like action, third person shooting mech gameplay, top down shooter. Like there's something, all these weird combination of things happening until you're eventually grounded as 2B. But yeah, just the characterization, the stories that they tell, the depths in which they're willing to go, I thought were very, very fascinating. And now I only appreciate it more knowing what I know after Replicant as well. But okay, the tough time. I am ready to put it above Tetris Effect.
That was what I was wondering this whole time. Whole. I was like, what's going to top Tetris? Is this the one?
Dude, I didn't think anything could, but then I'm like thinking about it and like really just like,
it's been a while since we had a title be in the upper half of this list.
Yeah, we've said Celeste a lot in this last 2 months.
Yeah, everything kind of
Celeste was the gatekeeper.
Yeah. No, I feel like this is like when I'm looking at that top half, like, yeah, it's better than that. Yeah, it's better than that. Yeah, it's better than that. Like, I think this is the new number one, but I'm open to counterpoints.
I woke up on that side of the bed where
you chose violence.
Yeah, I know. Well, what I'm about to say is going to cause violence, but it's going to just defend the number 1 point. I woke up on that side of the bed where I think Doom's a better game than Tetris Effect today, and I think this is better than Doom, so that's my reason for putting it at number 1.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
So, all right, I'm going to keep sticking with the Doom point here. I love Doom to death. Doom's multiplayer is fucking awful. I never want to play that. I will suffer through the 9S part to get to the good parts of NieR Automata.
But if you had to play the multiplayer to get to the good single player?
Fuck that. No, it's so generic.
Yeah, which, in Doom's credit, you can largely ignore it, right? Where Automata, you can't ignore the 9S stuff.
I mean, you can, but
anyone can turn off a system.
True.
You turn off the system, and you just unplug your chip, and you're done.
That too, yeah.
No, I think they do it in different ways. Maybe not. I mean, they both. they tacked your themes. Tetris and NieR attacked their themes in somewhat the same kind of ways almost, and then but like NieR is like, you know, it has like the actual story element and dialogue, and that stuff drives that stuff home. And I think ultimately when you combine those two, I think it makes for a heavier impact. I think going back to something I said with Final Fantasy, sometimes when you invest that time, the investment return is better, right? And I think that the time spent in NieR is a bigger payoff than the 2-hour journey leading to the awesome last track and set piece of Tetris Effect. But like, you know, there was all this crazy stuff along the way, all these cool, you know, different tracks and boards and stuff. But no, I think the putting in the 30 hours for how this game ends and what the ending does, and I don't want to say too much for those that haven't played it, because this is, like I said, this is one of those games I recommend to a lot of people to play. Yeah, I think the 30 hours you're going to spend, probably more if you do the side stuff, is it pays off in a better way than Tetris Effect does.
To kind of tack on to what you're saying about how they get kind of deep with their messages or whatever, or something between these two games, the way I'm seeing it now, it's like Tetris Effect is this abstract art piece you see in a museum, and you just kind of get what it's saying if if you're tapped into that. Like, you see it and you get it, but some people might not. But you're just there, you stand there and you just soak all that in. While NieR Automata to me is like seeing in this grand play in a theater, and there's an intermission and all that. Like, you're there for that time, and it's setting it all up for you, and you're taking that in same way. I mean, taking in the same message, almost in a way, but like just so differently.
Yeah, because in both instances, like, the art of the thing, it's like up to how you interpret it in the end, right? And like what it means to you specifically. And I think that's the important part about any art. And yeah, I think they both do it. Side note, Tetris Effect, also a very good PS2 game. I think at some point we need to build a list of games that weren't on the PS2 that are great PS2 games, if you catch my drift. But I mean, that is just holy.
I would counter that though. The power of the PS2 cannot put that game out in 4K.
So you're missing the point.
Oh no. Visuals are a huge part of that game.
I'm saying the sensibilities of Tetris Effect are one created with a PS2 mindset, where gameplay is king, presentation is king, pushing the technical limits, sure, but I think the roots of a game like Tetris Effect come from mastering the craft of PS2 game development. Anyway, is NieR the new king?
She's on top. Yeah. All the numbers and letters are on top.
Can't believe we have a new champion. I won't say anything more. We have weeks of this still ahead.
Yeah, see, this is where it sucks now, because next week we have to try if it is a heavy hitter, like if it's an upper half game contender, it's like, all right, who's going to defeat the final boss 2B here?
Look, I don't want to get too far ahead, but I hope like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, the last thing, is the most anticlimactic thing in the world.
And we're just like, yeah, that makes sense. Put it at 13. Yeah.
Did we have that? Is that one of our?
So I usually bring up the spreadsheet when we go through this. So in 2017, just to recap, NieR Automata was our number one game of the year that year, followed by Cuphead, which we have not talked about yet, followed by Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, which we have not talked about yet. Number 4 was PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, which we have not talked about yet. And then number 5, bring up the rear on that list and on this list, Super Mario Odyssey.
Wow. Ooh. Huh. Wow. That is funny. Odyssey's at the bottom for this.
I mean, someone's got to be, right?
2017 sandwich.
Yeah. Well, let's talk more about bringing things back that were once in 2017, and here we are in 2021. The final word on remasters. We've talked remasters and sequels and things over the last few weeks. When we finished recording last week, I had a revelation because we were looking for something to watch, and there's a section on the Apple TV that's got Nicolas Cage's face, and Nicolas Cage says, I recommend these movies for these reasons. And it's just a list of like 5 movies that Nick Cage says are really good. 2 of them are from the same Japanese director. One of them is a 1980 drama film starring Donald Sutherland and Mary Tyler Moore. 2021. We can sit down, and with the click of a button, we can watch. In better format than originally released, because of course back in 1980, probably didn't have it on VHS for home release. And when you did, it was $6,000. But you had to go see that movie in the theaters or watch it on reruns on TNT, if that was even a thing. But now with the click of a button, I can watch a movie that was made in Japan in 2006. I can watch a movie that was made in 1980 in America. I can do anything all from a single device, from a single storefront, in a single format. And in some cases, the people putting out those movies are putting out versions that are higher quality, better audio, etc., etc. And that is exactly when I realized that's when remasters should be done. Always. They should always be done, right?
I thought you were going to say, and that's why we should have the virtual console store back.
Yes, bring it back, please. No, but we should be at a point where I can play anything on these machines, right? Like, that's what makes the Mister so cool, although it's not in an official capacity, but like something like the Mister where, yeah, I can play anything, and it's as close to authentic as it possibly can be. It's the same thing. I think that, like, on PS4 or PS5, Xbox, I should be able to play anything on those things. So, yeah, I think remasters are good because it would be great if we just had a single box that's doing that. And I think, I hope that both sides right now between Xbox and PlayStation are building towards that. The way that something like Steam has built towards that. I mean, Steam, I can, in theory, play most games that have been released on Steam or on the PC format for the last 20 years, basically.
Try launching that Fallout 3.
Most is the key word there, you know? But, you know, in most cases, I think like things you buy on Steam, you can still play. And I think Xbox has done a great job with the back half of the Xbox One life cycle and moving into this life cycle where, like, if I bought it, I can basically play it. And I think that as we move forward, I think that the goal for a lot of companies is going to be making deals with publishers to say, no, if you're putting this out, you're putting this out that it can be sold in perpetuity, you know, whatever. That there's no restriction. I think those deals are being made at the licensing level for music, and I hope that that's all happening, right? And that it's not just something that's fleeting. But I looked ahead at Sega's September, and like Sega's got Sonic Colors and Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, and then Lost Judgment. And like, which of those 3 do you think is going to sell the most? Which of those 3 is a brand new video game? Right? Like, it's... But at the same time, like Sonic Colors, I don't know if it's a good game. I haven't played it. But I will know at some point because I can play it on a modern platform of my choosing, where before it was trapped on the Wii, period.
It has a big following.
Right, it does, right? So it's, you know, and I've seen it speedrun at SGDQ. I've seen elements of it in like Sonic Generations, but I've never actually played the game itself. And, you know, it's because of it being remastered, I'll be able to play it. So, yeah, I think like looking at the movie thing, looking at music as well, like if an album comes out or has come out, granted, you know, there's still some things that are, you know, just very whatever, and they're not on a streaming service or on like a place you can purchase that album, but like generally speaking, most things are available and you buy it once and you just have it for, that's where we need to be with remasters and games, etc., etc.
I agree.
Which you guys got a final word on remasters? That's
and I think. No, I was just gonna say, like, I think that kind of aligned with what we talked about the last couple weeks here, like, especially what if weeks are blurring together, so excuse me, but like last week, wasn't it when you were like we talked about Blood Rain, Quake, and Skyrim again?
Yeah.
Like, remember, like, should we do it? Should we not do it? And you kind of posed that question to us, and I think like what me and Mark were saying, like, yeah, sure, if there's an audience for Blood Rain, cool, bring it to the new stuff so that way it can be played and it's not stuck where in a PlayStation 3 store or something. With Quake, that was my thing. Like, yeah, it's who knows who's going to touch it again on console or whatever, but like, get it off a PC and bring it to all these different consoles. It makes all the sense in the world. So yeah, like, and Skyrim was everywhere already, but like, it's on a damn Amazon thing. Isn't there the app you can talk your way through a Skyrim campaign?
Right, I forgot they made that.
Yeah. So that's just everywhere already. But like, yeah. I think what you're saying is what I think we've been saying, and it makes sense, right? So, like,
Mark,
not?
bring us home on remasters.
Usually with the remasters, they will add things that haven't been there before to help liven it up, some quality of life improvements, what have you. But just, something I already said before, I think if they did, like Sonic Colors, for example, did add some improvements to it that I didn't have before. Like, I think it added tails and some other gameplay stuff that's probably a little more solid, a little more intuitive or something. And it's cool when remasters do that. But I still think, I think in the end, if we can just have like a buy it once, have it forever type thing, and just and also have an option to where you can play previous versions and see how it used to be, or maybe you just prefer that way instead of just the new way. Maybe you prefer old voiceovers versus new voiceovers, stuff like that. I think just the more options, the better with that stuff.
There it is. Phasmophobia got some new options this week with a big old update. Mark, you've played some of the changes. This is called the Exposition Update. Is that the actual name of it?
Yeah.
So what has changed with Phasmophobia now?
So they are. I think this is at the point now where they're trying to, I think, make this game find its own identity even more. Because before it was just one person using a lot of pre-made assets and then just kind of going with that and making a game out of it. And now I believe that developer has hired people on to help take on more of the cosmetic stuff while still balancing and tweaking gameplay. So you can follow all their work on Trello. You can see what they have in the works and see what they're working on. And there was this big update to where this has changed. Every item in the game has a graphical overhaul. And on top of that, I think they added some new items. And on top of that, some of them work a little differently too. They changed a lot of the lighting in the game. They fixed a lot of bugs. And they added 2 new ghost types. And as well as, because of all this, because of adding a newer item to it, one specifically called the Dots Projector, where I don't know if any of you have seen
Paranormal Activity 3.
Is it 3?
I think it's 3.
The one with the Kinect?
The Kindle, not the Kindle, the Kinect, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. But it's just this little device that you just slap on the floor or on the wall, and just like green dots just kind of just project everywhere. And with that, you can see like an outline figure of a ghost running through it. If it is the type to where you can see it in that. But because of this new item, each ghost type has 3 things of evidence to help determine it is that ghost that you're dealing with, and that's the whole point of the game, is trying to figure that out. Like, what are the 3? So you're always trying everything. And
I apologize. It's Paranormal Activity 4.
Four.
Don't want
I had a
to piss
feeling.
off a fan base.
Yeah, they're rebooting it anyway.
3 had the fan camera. That was their big tech innovation there because they went back in time.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
They were children.
That's a good one. But yeah, because they added that projector, now every ghost in that game's evidence things have been changed.
Okay.
And so a lot of people who are familiar with the game, especially if they were streaming or something, they would have like a widget that would help them as you went on, trying to determine a ghost a little quicker. And now like they have to update all those widgets now because all that changed. So I think that's pretty cool too. So it kind of keeps it a little refreshing and keeps it going. And so yeah, like I pretty much, it's cool seeing like what they've added, what they fixed, and then like not knowing before what bugs existed. Like I didn't know that could happen. Like usually in the game, you know, at a certain point, because your sanity will deplete over time, but faster in darkness, so it's best to keep lights on. But usually the ghost will hunt you when you're at a lower percentage. And then it's almost constant at that point until you make it out alive. I didn't know that like those hunts could be canceled with voice recognition. Had I have known that, I think could have end so many matches so much quicker, because it's like average like maybe 20 to 40 minutes, like depending on how stubborn the ghost is to give away all of its details. But like if you could just end a hunt with like voice recognition somehow, I don't know how they did it. I don't know if they just said something or something with a microphone, some kind of trick. Maybe unplug it, plug it back. I don't know. But that I didn't know that even existed. So it was cool to. I mean, it's
how long was that in the game previously? Since like,
I have no idea. I like to assume every time there's like a hotfix or a patch, like there's always that one bug that, you know, new bugs emerge every time you squash old ones. So maybe it came with like the most recent update before that. I'm not too sure, but I always like seeing when, even with apps, like anything, when anything has an update, I like seeing the list of what has actually changed and what they have gotten rid of, and it's cool to see all those notes.
Yeah.
I wish more apps on my phone did that instead of just saying bug fixes.
We squashed the bugs.
Yeah, it's like, well, what was it? I want to know.
Isn't that all the Smash patch notes
Yeah.
are? Stability and bug fixes.
Stability, yeah.
I think I think it takes like the community to figure out like exactly what got, like who got buffed, who got nerfed, and like all that stuff.
I think with Smash Ultimate, they finally started putting stuff out. I might be wrong about that.
Yeah, it's probably not like a front page thing. I think you have to like go dive and look for it and seeing like the details.
So these changes, I mean, do you feel like this is stuff that is like, the fact that widgets need to be updated and things like that sounds like they're fundamentally changing some of the core of the game. Do you feel that as a player? Is that exciting? Is that...
Yeah, like it does, it keeps it refreshing. Like, so, for example, one of the like biggest memes or like complaints maybe from people is that like you have a sprint button, but you don't really sprint. Like you go from walking to walking a little faster.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's nerve-wracking when like a ghost is hunting for you and you're trying to like run away from it and you're just moving at like a slightly faster than a snail's pace to like hide somewhere. Now you sprint, like you go fast for like maybe like 3 seconds and then you're out of breath. And then that takes like 5 seconds to like refill or something like that. It does make a little bit of a difference, but in VR,
like, is there a trade-off for that though? Like, all right, so now you move faster, but did they like counter it with you're louder now?
So in a way, yes, but not because of your character. They now made it to where like, also when a ghost hunt happens, typically your flashlights would just start blinking. You would hear all the front door shut to the house, and you would hear it lock. And it's like, oh shit, all right, the ghost is coming. This means hide. Now your flashlight does not blink when the ghost starts hunting. You'll still have to hear for the door, but it will only blink if it's near you. If you have any electronic items, they go haywire when the ghost is near, instead of just the entire time. So now they can creep up on you even more. They have a better chance of sneaking up on you. I think you also like hear your heartbeat like even louder if they're nearby too. And now they make a noise. Before they didn't make too much of a noise, you would just hear footsteps or something. But now there's like various noises. One kind of sounds like I forget her name, but like the girl from The Ring. It would just be like like whatever, and then
Samara.
Yeah. Or you might hear like a dude just like gargling a Slurpee the whole time. It's just like what the fuck?
So someone's playing, some ghost is playing Back for Blood, essentially.
Yeah. And it's just like it's cool that they're telegraphing with their noises now instead of just your flashlight telling you that something's going like weird. But like if you have like an EMF reader, it will start like beeping constantly, and it will attract to that noise. So you have to turn off everything and like wait out, because hunts last for a minute. So you have to like wait out a minute and just hope that it's actually gone. Like you have to use your best senses to know when it's gone, because if it's not near you the entire time, your flashlight isn't blinking, but though you still might be able to hear it walking around, you really have to keep an ear out now. And then if you're hiding in a closet, you have that, you always have that fright of like, should I go forward? Is it safe? Like, you really have to like trust your instincts a little bit. So it changes it in that sense where like you're not too used to how the script works for the ghosts and everything. You do have to be a little more aware of your surroundings. So I think that's cool. It keeps you on your toes a little bit. So I do like that. And adding new items too, and how they work a little differently, I think is also very cool. I think they're adding items that are upgradable, and I don't know exactly how to acquire those yet. Like, I know you start with a lighter, but I see, like, at the main menu, your main menu is like this garage. It's like this shed. It's like your little headquarters. And you can see, like, there's a rack on the side now with all these new items. You can't pick them up, but you can just see what they all are. And I see, like, a box of matches. I'm like, okay, maybe that's the upgraded item for, like, the lighter or something. Which is weird, because I don't know what you can do with matches exactly. Like, can you throw them maybe? Like, can you... I feel like the lighter seems like an upgrade to the matches, in my opinion.
That seems, yeah.
So, but maybe there's something more to them that I just don't know yet. And then I saw like a bigger UV light. Like, there was just like a little tiny black light you can have around to look for fingerprints or whatever. But I saw like a bigger one at the bottom of the shelf. It's like, where it looks like 1,000 LED lights inside of it or something. It looked massive. It's like, all right, that's interesting. And then I see a book. Well, it's 2 books, but they're both the same book. And there's a pentagram.
They made out of skin?
No, but there's a pentagram on the front. And then on the spine, at the very bottom, it says Necronomicon. And I'm like,
heck yeah.
I don't even know if that's even a thing yet in this game. I don't know if that's even acquirable, or that's just a taste of what is to come. I have no idea. But that has me very excited and very curious. Because there are some competing games out there similar. And one of them, I think it's called Ghost Hunter Corp. It's a very basic name. But in that game, you do have to like use your microphone, and you have to read from like a Bible or something to read a certain part of passage to exorcise a ghost. And I was like, that's kind of cool. Like, so Necronomicon might be something similar. Who knows? But yeah. So the game does feel a little refreshing. It does feel a little different. You still play it the same way, which I still enjoy. But just those little nuances, those little details, I think, in the long run, are help making this become something more than what it was previously. And it's only been out for like a little less than a year, I think, at this point.
Yeah, because when did it hit 1.0, or did it not?
I don't know. I think it just crept out of nowhere, like around this time last year. I want to say like October, but
yeah.
Yeah,
no, it's cool that it can grow, and the fact that he was able to hire people to bring on, more talent to change what the game is ultimately is cool.
And since it got released, this was maybe like it's not even a week ago at this point when listeners are listening. It's like just a few days ago, and already there's been 2 hot fixes. just because, with squashing bugs comes more bugs. So I was trying in VR originally, and that it just wasn't working the way that it should, and I could just tell. And I was like, there's things that I thought I could do that I couldn't do, and that control scheme, and it was like I picked up one item, but all of a sudden, because of that, picking up the item, I grew two hands. Like I had two right hands on one side, just like hovering above each other.
Necromancy's already in the game, dude.
Yeah. Just like things you could just tell just weren't working the way they should have been. And so I decided, I switched back to mouse and keyboard for now until I know that is a little more solid. So, and you can't predict any of that. So like I get it. Like it takes time. I'm not mad about it or whatever. But man, VR is so much fun in that game. Like I played with this guy, never met him before. I could have swore it was Mark Ruffalo. Like he sounded like him to me the entire time. It was like the same exact voice, and we were just like we were high-fiving each other in VR. We're doing like patty cake. He showed me a glitch where like every time you start a map, you start off in the back of the truck, and that's where you start to plan, get your items, what you want, and then you'll hit a button and it will lower the back door of the trucks like a ramp so you can walk down it. Before you do that, if you like in VR, if you like back yourself into that corner by that door, you start like you're next to the shelving units of the items. You start to like ascend. You start to go up a little bit and like out of the truck, and you can start like I think it like gumpies you through it, and you could be on top. But so I saw him do that. I was like, man,
so you're actually stretching. You're not like moving.
No, like the character's just like floating, and you just get out of the truck. You just morph out of the truck. And I was like, I wonder if this works on the other side. So I went to the other side and tried that, and it was working. I was floating, but it took me to the driver's seat of the truck. I was like, yeah! I was like, I'm in the driver's seat! I just hung out here the whole time, pretending I was driving. I was just throwing shit out the window, and it's like out of bounds of the map. There's no way to get to this part. And then he somehow clipped through too, and he was in the passenger seat, and we're like, yeah, we're road trip! Just stuff like that I found fun. But, so I hope that doesn't get patched out. But then...
Yeah, those unexpected things can sometimes be fun.
So with the theme of bugs here, and glitches, whatever, and like patches and all that, it got me thinking, I do like games, when they get fixed, when things that need fixing, but there's also some bugs I just enjoy that also, like, enhanced my experience with the game, even because just there's unintentional imperfections just kind of help make it perfect in a way. Have either of you had any, like, favorite bugs in a game?
Whenever I think of a weird bug or a glitch in a game, it's something so subtle, but it satisfies me to this day. On the PlayStation 1 version of Symphony of the Night, as you're passing through one major area of the map to another, there's a hallway. And in the hallway, in the top center, it says like CD, because I think it's where you're supposed to... On the PS1, you could open the disc tray and take that out and then put another CD in and then just have like a cool image of Alucard frozen in the RAM, I guess. And you could listen to music through it. I think that's what it was. I don't know. And there's a part as you're running through and you're like almost on either edge of the screen. Once you've unlocked the double jump, if you double jump, Alucard's cape clips through the top of the hallway. And it just became like a meta game for me as I would run through that castle and go through those hallways each time to do the double jump at the exact moments that it clips in this one spot that's just visually pleasing to something in my brain. And like,
that's cool though.
Whenever there's a version of that game that comes out, like I think the 360 version retained the bug. I think the PSP version did not. Or maybe it did. But that's where I know I've played the I can't remember if the Japanese PS1 version does it. I don't think the Saturn version does it. But like that's the stupid stuff that I remember that, and like there's just something that like it just feels good. Like when I double jump here, it should do this clip, and if it doesn't do the clip, then I'm upset and I don't like what I'm playing anymore. And it's a bad version of Symphony of the Night. It's a weird, dumb bug that makes no sense, and maybe someone understands what I'm talking about. But that's one that I can think of that's just like I don't think it's in the spirit of the question you're asking, but it's...
No, I think that applies, because if you think about it, like, stuff like that is probably what speedrunners look for, and without bugs, they wouldn't been like that wouldn't even exist. Like they wouldn't know how like stuff like that, or something to like skip you to the very end, like jumping through a wall or something. Like it's cool.
I think like that stuff is what I look for in after So I'm gonna go a little bit more recently, and it's not like I only think I could get the bug to trigger again. It was just something that happened. I'm not going to get into specifics because Joe's playing through the game right now. But in Dark Souls, one of the things I love about Dark Souls, it is brutally punishing that game from time to time. But when you actually like learn to manipulate the AI, it is actually one of the easiest games in some regards. Like some areas that should be really hard are not, because you just have dumb enemies. Like you can have enemies like jump off cliffs and things like that if you manipulate it right. There's a certain part Joe has already, I think, encountered a part where you can manipulate the AI in such a way for easy soul farming. But there is a boss, and I don't want to say where because it's just going to give it away. But like, and I know you have not encountered it, but there is a boss I struggled with mightily. The arena. They are in
Ornstein and Smo. That's what you're describing.
No.
I remember.
There's another one. I was struggling with mightily, and the arena does no favors for you. But I just realized, it was one of those things I would run in, die, and like, I don't know. I got myself, like I said, the arena sucks. So like, you kind of like have to stay in a certain area, but they did this weird jumping attack, and they got clipped into the fog gate wall, and then they kept attacking and ascended up into the ceiling. So I patiently just stood there like, well, how the hell am I going to beat him now? Do I have to turn off the game? Do I dark sign back? Do I homeward bone? Like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I let 3 minutes go by. Demon vanquished. Or whatever it says in Dark Souls. I forget what it says now.
What the heck?
And it was one of those moments where I was like, that's not the right way to do it, but
I'll take it.
I'll take it. I'll touch the bonfire and be on my way.
There's...
And then, so that was my first playthrough, and I almost got it on my second run. So, like, I kind of can see how to trigger it. So I got the boss into the fog gate again, and they started to ascend, but then they plopped back to reality. So there's... I don't know if I don't know how to do it, but I can start to see the theming of how to trigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
There's
it was
a video out there.
But no, I like even the second time I was like, oh, am I going to happen again? Now the second time I had equipment because it was a new game plus to better maneuver arena, so it wasn't like, I didn't need to do it that way, but I thought I could try to cheese it again. But yeah, no, that first time it was like, this doesn't feel great, but I've died enough times, I'll take it.
Yeah, that happened to me in Bloodborne with Amygdala when. The first fight that I had with Amygdala, something happened where I like clipped through one of its legs or just like got stuck in the perfect spot, so I could just kept stabbing it in the crotch until it was dead. It was the easiest fight in the world. And then I remember like so many people struggled with it, and then my second time playing through and going back through Amygdala, I could not at all. It was the worst fight ever because I couldn't get that clip, and it was just like an actually difficult fight.
I have like a two-part with this one, like I mean, aside from that Phasmo thing, which could only work in VR, by the way, like you can't.
Which is
do
so
that.
cool. That's such a weird, like that's a story you will remember forever, likely.
But it reminded me heavily of Left 4 Dead. When on 360, we learned some glitches with that, especially with in single player. I mean, in just co-op campaign and in versus campaign, whatever. For just a campaign in No Mercy, the first map, I mean, well, that's the first like level, whatever. But like the final area, like the finale of No Mercy, you're at the top of the hospital building. It's like unfinished. There's like scaffoldings, and you have to wait for a helicopter. there's like a certain way you had to go, and you had to like go up this railing of stairs, walk the railing somehow, and get through this door that wouldn't open. Like, it's not supposed to open. So you're not supposed to get in there, but because of the way you approached it, you were able to clip through the wall and hang out there, and you could just outlive all of the hordes coming and the tanks. Like, they would all the zombies would be there, and I think just over time they would just disappear. It would just be timeout. And so like that name would be, I mean, that room would be dubbed the Jesus room. Like that, like that's just what everyone called it. So every time we did that, we're like, all right, expert mode, get this achievement, let's hang out in the Jesus room until the helicopter arrives, and then we book it. And yeah, like that was awesome. It
was that something that left your group of friends? Like, was that a more widespread?
Yeah, that was a more widespread thing. Like, I think playing with like a stranger, I think that's how we found out about it, and they were like, yeah, the Jesus room or whatever.
Too good.
And in Versus, by far my favorite. So if you're playing as the Infected on that map too, I mean, there was other bugs in that game too, but this one was our favorite because with No Mercy, when you make it to that hospital, there's an elevator that the survivors have to take, and before they get on the elevator, they have to fight off a horde because like calling the button like triggers that, and then so you can choose to be down there with the horde fighting the survivors, or you can choose to spawn where the elevator is going to be when it ascends. And there's a forklift up there because that's all like construction area. It's unfinished building work. And so we would like scratch at the forklift and it would slowly move it, but we would inch it enough to where it would block the elevator door so they couldn't get out. So they were just, so we had, we could get in through the ceiling of the elevator, and and they could try to like, they couldn't jump over the forklift. So every time they came up, they just had a forklift to deal with. And then we, if we're like a smoker, you try to tongue them and like drag them out, or like Hunter just go in there, or like Boomer, just zombies would just come in through. People would be so pissed and quit and whatever. It's such a troll thing to do, but that was my favorite thing in that game.
That was in the original or two?
This was in the original. You just forklift blocking doorways, whatever you could on any map. It was my favorite bug until they patched it. I was like, oh, damn.
Oh, they did patch? Oh.
Yeah. They finally caught on. I guess enough people got mad. But like,
did that stop you from playing the game at that point?
No, I still love that game. It was a little sad to see that go, but at least I still have those memories. But yeah, like, I don't know if I really remember a time where personally where like an update to a game has just kind of like killed the game for me. It's like, oh, like they changed the game now, like it doesn't play like it used to, and some people might like that, but other people probably like it the way before. But I've always, like, whenever I hear people stop playing, usually it's something with like, I've heard people with like Modern Warfare, because there would be glitches they could pull off, or or if people were finding ways to hack a game and then, they patch it so they stop playing. Or I've seen it the other way where, like, with MMOs, with, like, expansions, like, people don't like the changes they added with that expansion. So it just kind of, like, killed it for them or something like that. But yeah, like, another roundtable question, like, has either of you been, like, affected by that in any way? Like,
it's funny you bring up Modern Warfare because that was my example.
There's truth to it.
Every brand new season, and this is more of the modern one, specifically Warzone, but like every single season, start brand new patch, add in a gun or two, maybe an addition to the map, tweak a couple things, but like it's supposed to be like new. Every time that patch launches, something always goes wrong. I don't think I've ever seen a successful launch of a season in Warzone without like a hot fix needing to come in to patch something. And it could be something where like the gun is just so like everything is working properly, but the gun is whatever the adjustment they made to a gun is so OP that like everyone's just running it. Like, it's become a thing. It becomes a thing on Reddit, becomes a thing on Twitter, becomes you have to say TikTok nowadays. Like, all that. It's just everywhere. So everyone's using it, and it's not as mind-numbingly boring. But specifically the one, I forgot what season it was. It was in that first summer, though, where the graphic glitch on the gun where you couldn't see down sights.
I remember that.
I've talked about this before in the podcast, but like, it got so bad to the point where I did not want to play on PC anymore. I downloaded on Xbox for a night, and then I hated playing on Xbox. So like, I stopped playing for a couple days until that graphical glitch got removed, because it was unplayable. Like, if you got it, it was just stuck, and it was something with the way the guns rendered in. And then the crazy part is they fixed it, and then a couple months later started appearing again. They fixed it more quickly again that time, but yeah, this graphic, that rendering glitch, that was going on for like 2 weeks, and it seemed just to get worse and worse as time went along.
My initial answer to this is when Magic the Gathering Arena added a battle pass, but my follow-up answer is when anything adds a battle pass. Because I hate it. Yeah. I hate the mechanic. I hate it entirely. I understand the concept of it, right? But like,
it's just a thing now,
Yeah, but it sucks, dude. It's so uninspired, and I don't like it, and I don't like the like pressure to buy. Like, Pokemon the trading card game online is essentially in the exact same state that it was when Mark first told me about it in 2013 or whenever the heck it was, right? Like, it is the same game, which, by the way, I think that's changing this fall. The new physical card sets, the box art showed up, and there's now something called TCG Live being teased on the back of it.
Whoa.
There's no more details than that, so I don't know what they're doing with the old one, but it's no longer listed on physical card boxes.
So that update is going to deter you from playing. So that's your answer.
Because, well, I don't know. Maybe, right? If they do something stupid. But here's the great thing about Pokemon trading card game right now. It is free. Period. It's free. I can't give them money even though I've wanted to. There's no way to do that. Just by logging in, you get coins each day, and every 5 days you get a free booster pack. You can open that booster pack and get the thrill of opening a booster pack. You can take your coins and you can buy booster packs in the game. Or if there's a specific card you can want, typically you can probably find somebody who's willing to trade it in exchange for booster packs or something like that. Because booster packs have become kind of the meta currency in that game. You can trade in that game, keyword trade, right? Like, just like the spirit of the original game, you can do that digitally, which is rad. There's extensive tutorials and ways to play and things like that. Like, all of that stuff is awesome. It supports cross-play between the iPad version and the PC and Mac versions. But it's, and when you buy physical sets, you can redeem them in-game for 1-to-1 matches. Or if you buy a booster in real life, you can redeem the booster in there and get a random booster. Like, that's super rad. And then I look at something like Magic, where it's like, that initial, remember, the alpha of Magic was awesome, where you had that mastery tree that you could slowly go through, and it taught you how to play. I do think that the newer version of Arena teaches you how to approach each color opposition better. I think they do a great job of like teaching you how to play black against blue, against red, against green. Like, they do a better job at that. But now, dude, like, I'm like completely deterred from playing. There's so many ways to play in Magic, but there's too many options. And then there's this battle pass that levels up, that sometimes I get a booster, sometimes I need to get, I hate all of that. I hate the whole, like, the FOMO. That's what I really hate, is like instilling FOMO of like, hey, you suck. You're not one of us. You should be one of, hate it.
This has all just reminded me that I do have an answer. It's not necessarily because of like, well, it's just updates in general and like, what comes with them that is unfortunate, but there's really no controlling it, and it's fighting games. There's a good time where I wanted to really get into Street Fighter 4, and I did, but I never took it as like tournament level serious. Like, even if I wanted to, I just can't comprehend that for a long time. But watching people and playing with people and just like knowing people's experiences as well, like, it has deterred me a lot, because whenever they do updates to a fighting game, they try to balance it as much as they can. And some characters always suffer from it. There's, that's where like all like the tier picking comes from, and they find characters who you can exploit moves no matter what, like they're unblockable or something. They can just pull off that chain, and then they always win. It's like not even their favorite character. It's just, this has the most success rate, so I'm gonna be this thing.
I hate that.
And it's just like, all right, it's just at this point, it's like we're not fighting anymore. It's just you just want to do this input all the time. Yep. And then that's the game. It's like whoever can do that first. And it's like, fuck it. I don't want to do it
the
anymore.
argument that sucks about that is the ones that are like, well, if you were so good, you just learn how to counter it.
Right. And it's like but and then if I could, then it's, we're both, that's all we're doing then. It's just a matter of who can do their input first.
Fun.
Yeah, I mean that's the part with like a healthy meta that I'd like, right? Like when the meta's healthy, yes, you're gonna have tiers, right? You're always gonna have tiers. I don't think there's any way to fix that. But like right now in Pokemon, I hate to use Pokemon Unite as an example, but right now, like Greninja is the top of the meta. He is like as far as like a carry, right? But the thing is, Greninja is actually a very difficult Pokemon to master. So it's not as easy as just, all right, you have a Greninja on your team, right? You're probably good to go. Like, no, like a bad Greninja ruins your game. A good Greninja could carry you like you're supposed to as a carry, but like, you got to make sure the right person on your team is Greninja. So like, I think that is a healthy, like top tier character, right? It's like you have to know how to use them to.
You got to earn it.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, I think since all that happened with Street Fighter, I just kind of just really backed away and just saw what fighting games are kind of boiled down to. It's like, that was me just being reductive, but at the same time, I just didn't care.
Yeah.
So that's just, and part of that is like, that's why, like, stuff like that is why I'm not really that competitive with games, unless it's just like casual with friends type thing. But like outside of that, maybe Halo, but even that doesn't go too far. But that's probably as far as I go. Now, with that, just made me think about when it comes to, like, again, like, I do appreciate when games do get fixed though. Like, first and foremost, like, you want the game to be playable no matter what. Like, that's the part that really matters when it comes with all this. And now we're so used to games being, I mean, like, I've kind of learned now and have a better understanding with game development to a degree that, like, games are never finished. They're just released.
Yeah.
No matter what era, right? But now I think we're a little more fortunate in a sense where they might have more time to add things and more time to update and polish things. Maybe not on release day, but we're so used to patches and we're so used to updates, like being like a constant, almost daily thing with a lot of games. But I want to say like I don't say like maybe 2004 and earlier, not so much, right? Like maybe a game might have got re-released as a greatest hits on PS2, and that might have came with like a certain upgrade or two here or there, but wasn't really that well known or to be a thing.
No, it would be that, or like you wouldn't realize it, but like the second pressing of a game was actually V1.01 or something like that.
Right. So like as we're
but you
kids,
don't know that by looking at the box.
Right. Like you just, like, why would you care to, right? Like it's just not in your thing to notice, especially if you're a kid and you just want to play a game. Like to you, that is the game. Like, grew up with like Nintendo or Sega. Like those games are just how they are, and like you just deal with it. And maybe you find bugs to get around it, maybe you don't. Maybe you speed run it super quick, maybe you don't. But with those older games, is there like when I'm thinking about this, there's obviously for me it's going to be something Ninja Turtle related, but there's two games I can think of that I wish had existed now to where it could get the attention and that it deserves to have patches and fix a game or something, because so like, but my roundtable question is going to be like, are there any games that you wish could be patched now from those old games, or just games that aren't supported, or maybe there's games today that just don't have the attention and they're just abandoned and they deserve it too. It can be from any time, but I was thinking more so like classic retro stuff. Like for me, the first Ninja Turtles game on NES, I would patch the shit out of the underwater level. I would make that to where it is not unbearable, you know?
Yeah.
Like there, you know, and I would keep in the bug with Donatello when you're fighting Rocksteady, I think, or is it Bebop? I forget now. First boss.
I don't remember, but
you just hang up on the top. The staff isn't really hitting him, but it's counting as a hit. I would keep that in there, you know.
Yeah.
But the underwater part, I would patch the shit out of it, make that way better. And then the part 2 with that, there was another Ninja Turtle game that I think Activision published, Out of the Shadows, and it had potential to be good. There was some. There was a lot to it than you think. Like the combat was very in depth, but it's buggy as hell, and it just did not have good polish. And they promised that they were going to work on it. I think I even tried like reaching out to them once to see if it ever really would. And like online co-op wasn't working. It was just left. It was just left to die. And I don't even think you can purchase it anymore on Steam. But that was a game that I wished really had, like, if that had the proper polish to it, I think that would have been that would have had a better reception in people's eyes.
I got a meme answer here.
Okay.
Batman Forever.
Dude, that was straight up what I was gonna say.
Were you serious? Seriously? Oh shit. Well then I'll let you take the wheel then.
No, well, I think for me, one that I think kind of already did patch, and I'm happy, I'm grateful that they did stick with it and patch it, is Master Chief Collection. Although they did add a battle pass, so that's kind of a ding against them.
No,
that one's better though.
They don't do the photo
It's a better
thing.
approach. Yeah, it's a better approach. I will give you that. But like, I don't know if you guys saw the Halo Infinite stuff about multiplayer, but like, there's not going to be, you have like a character level or whatever that levels up. They're not doing match-based XP at launch. The only way to earn XP at launch is by doing challenges each day, which is probably going to mean like you're playing a game and someone's jumping and only going for headshots because they're trying to complete that dumb challenge for the day. And then again, why do we play video games anymore? But I think Master Chief Collection is a good example of someone who did stick with it and did change it for the better. And then hopefully they'll do that with. I'm sorry, Master Chief Collection was good. Hopefully they do that with Infinite. But no, Batman Forever is the one where like I remember getting that game for Genesis, being so stoked because it was a Batman game, putting it in and not being able to get past swinging back and forth with the stupid grappling hook. Like just what a dumb
fix the controls.
And it looked so cool because they did that thing. The developers did that like cool Donkey Kong Country like Mortal Kombat. Let's draw sprites out of real whatever, and they did it looked so, it was like such a different, unique look. This grimy, weird music. Like I can still hear the stupid music.
Was that game's biggest problem was just the controls, or was like the hit detection not great either? Or...
There's a lot of problems with that game.
All of it. Like,
that's great.
Hit detection was weird. You literally got to a point where like, how do I climb? There's a hole in the ceiling. Batman has a grappling hook.
This is like the second screen, too. This isn't like third level. This is the second screen of the game.
Second, yeah. How do I get the grappling hook to grab that thing? There is a point where it will grab it. Now I don't even remember. Is it timing based? Is it whatever? It's a...
Well, I remember watching the speed run of this game. At like SGDQ or one of them. I don't remember exactly what they said, but I think they said the co-op is broken after a certain point. So
God.
me and you, Joe, we could never finish the campaign together because it's just broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a special mess of a video game that I wish, they could.
That's my appreciated mess, though. I played a lot of that game as a kid.
Like I feel like if they only updated the controls, I think the rest of it wouldn't be as unbearable. You could probably deal with it just a little bit more.
No, you gotta patch that damn
but see, it
just carnival level with the timer. It doesn't need a timer. That timer sucks.
Yeah.
Because I got there. I was good enough. I got good enough at that game to get to that level, and the timer fucked me. I do have another answer, but this would be like not like I want to patch now. I wish the ability to patch happened years ago on the N64 on a little cart called WWF No Mercy. That damn glitch that would erase all your data sucked. Yeah. And it happened like I have friends that were across the street from me that we had like another neighbor. He was like down the block. Like we would like do we had like a wrestling like thing. We had created characters. We had factions. We had like everything set up. We had belts, customized belts. We would like schedule like matches for like like 1-on-1 matches for the belt with our created characters. And like twice, just one day we boot the game and it's all gone. And it sucks too because like all like your coins are gone, all the single player progress is gone, which means you have to go through the single player stuff to unlock all the stuff for your created wrestler. And it was just a pain in the ass because the other campaigns are fine, but the one for the WWF title sucks. It's very hard, unless you win the Royal Rumble, which is the first, I think, or like the third match of that. But yeah, man, if there was a I know the future carts did address it, but that was a game I wish either one you could patch in a backup system or just fix the bug.
Yeah, because I mean that's like losing a part of yourself, and you have to rebuild that every time.
It happened to us twice, and I think the second time I was like, we can't keep doing this.
I think the one cool thing that I've seen in terms of like patching, it's not in an official capacity, but there's been ROM hacks that do certain things to patch games like that. I think one that's particularly cool project is anyone who's done the Unworking Designs patches. I don't know if you guys have seen those, but Working Designs was a company who specialized in bringing Japanese games over, localizing them, and often injecting like humor and things like that into the localization in English. But for some reason, the team at Working Designs just thought they would also go through the process of making the games exponentially more difficult. I don't know. I think there might be an interview with Victor Ireland somewhere that tells this, but I don't know if it's because like at some point, Japan, like remember Square had made the statements that like, or Nintendo rather, made statements that Super Mario Bros. 2 couldn't come out in America because it would be too hard for Americans to play, right? Like there's stuff like that happens. Same thing with Final Fantasy 2 and things. I don't know if it was like just like trying to combat that mentality, and it's like, no, we can make the games harder than they were before, and people are still, I don't know what it was, but they made them just ridiculously hard for no reason. So there have been efforts made to keep the localization aspects of it, but revert back to the original gameplay of a lot of the Working Designs ports. So there's a lot of Saturn and PS1 games that people have gone back through and like retained the original Japanese versions with the good localization, and I think those are neat projects. I think those are something that like I don't know, you don't really see stuff like that too often. That's a very unique case of patching.
Yeah, gotta leave it to the community for the good stuff.
We often do. Well, we're gonna leave it to the community and take a quick break. And when we get back, we have a few more topics. We're gonna talk more about maybe exciting things that happen in games unexpectedly, and the future of fighting games. I don't know. We'll find out right after this Batman Forever music. Be right back. What was the very first video game you paid for with your own money?
Counter question.
Yes.
Is it your own money if you found it on the side of a road and then somebody found it before you, but then you convinced them it was fake, and then they gave it to you, and then you use that for a game?
This story.
Because if that counts as my own money, then Pokemon Stadium 2 is.
There it is. I had a similar, not totally similar, but mine was purchased with found money in a way. I definitely bought games before this because I would like do chores or like trade in games and got money from that. Like, yeah, but the game that I think of is Guitar Hero 2, specifically because I remember I was not 18 yet, so someone broke the law. But I was working at a grocery store and I kept seeing this number all throughout the day. I saw it. It was the time at one point. As I was doing inventory, it showed up as like the date that item had been last scanned. Like I just kept seeing this 4-digit number. So I went and I played it at the lottery. I played a pick 4 lottery number and I won that night $400 by playing that number.
Dang.
Cashed it again. I guess somebody just didn't think to care that I was like 17 at the time. Cashed it and went right out after work, walked into GameStop and bought Guitar Hero 2, and then took the rest and bought pizza and paid bills. But I remember that specifically. I was like so stoked to buy Guitar Hero 2, and that I won $400 and could do both things that I wanted to do, which was pizza and Guitar Hero.
Nice.
So this is a cheat, I think, right? So there's a caveat to this on how I got the money to be mine, right? So as a gift, I received WCW Mayhem.
Yeah.
I played it for like an hour, but then the disc just wouldn't read anymore. I don't remember, through any fault of my own or anything like that. So and I remember explicitly I don't know why I remember so vividly. We went to the Target in the White Marsh area. Mm-hmm. We returned said game, and I got my, I think, $40 back at the time because it was a new game. We got it in cash, and for some reason I didn't want WCW Mayhem. I ended up buying it years later for myself, instead, there was nothing at Target, but we know that the Best Buy right down the old road there usually has a better selection. I then turned that $40 into literally PlayStation 1's Green Label Greatest Hits. 2 of them. Ready for these purchases? Number 1, Final Fantasy VII.
Wow.
Number 2, Fighting Force.
Yes! I mean, clearly we know who got the better deal there.
And then, which one would I go on to play countless hours of down the road for all my life?
Fighting Force.
Of course, Fighting Force.
Wow.
Yeah, so yes, I guess I got it as a gift, but as I returned, the money became mine to then reinvest.
Fair, yeah. I feel like I definitely had those moments too where you got something and it was broken or whatever, and yeah. That same Target wandering through and wondering why anybody would buy a Sega Saturn game. I don't know why that's even on the shelf.
Yeah,
yet here I am now wishing I'd bought all the Segas. Kids, go buy Sega Saturn games. If you're out there in 1997 right now listening, just buy the Sega Saturn game so you don't regret it later on.
I'm trying to think, I'm not counting Christmas money, birthday money, allowance. I'm not trying to count any of that.
I wouldn't know what my first purchase of my own money would be then. That's my first vivid memory of buying a game.
Yeah. I think these are all fair stories. Mark, you conned a kid into buying you a game. Finders
keepers, right? I mean, I know you didn't find it, but you conned them.
And then people tried to con me after that.
Yeah.
That was, oh, man.
And at that point, you just got to stand your ground.
Yeah.
No, this is my Pokemon Stadium too.
It's funny because
it has been, always will be.
Got into a fight with my brother, and he took a hammer into my cartridge.
Oh, gosh.
So I guess that's what I get for conning, I guess.
Yeah, it's a life lesson. There's something there about karma and do unto others. One of those things.
I remember buying Resident Evil Gaiden 2 for Game Boy Color. I remember being oddly excited for that. Don't know why.
Yeah.
Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Leon. Wasn't Barry in that too?
Yes. I think Barry was the dude you played as.
Probably why it was Gaiden, right? Not playing as
Maybe.
one of the main people. Little side story.
Makes sense.
Speaking of side stories, Joel Burgess of Capybara Games, previously of Bethesda, shared in a thread on Twitter a story from the development on Skyrim. For years, many players have claimed and shared a tip that if you see a fox, you should follow it, as it will lead you to treasure. When this first started popping up, the team internally was confused that this was working and wondered who had programmed it. No one in the office confessed. None of the programming team said they had programmed the fox to do that, so they started digging into the code to see what could be happening. You can read the full account of this whole story on Joel Burgess' Twitter, which is @JoelBurgess. That's 1G, 2 Hesses. But essentially, AI navigation in the game for all AI components uses something called nav mesh to determine where AI can and cannot go. Most AI is programmed to do certain actions, and they do so on that nav mesh path. Foxes are only programmed to run away when a player is close, and it does just that. It just, certain enemies will engage and try and stab you. Certain other things will move to a certain... Foxes just run away, and they want to get to a space that has a number of triangles around them. So everything on there is all built up of triangles stitched together. So in open areas, there's a small number of big triangles that stitch that stuff together, where points of interest have large triangles that are large numbers of small triangles. So a fox wants to get to a space that has 100 triangles away from the player. And if you're in a big area, there's fewer triangles. So the fox is trying to constantly get away because it can't whatever. So it ends up going to a space that has 100 triangles, which often is going to be some point of interest that may or may not have treasure. So it's a coding accident in a way, because the fox isn't literally leading you to treasure. It's just leading you to an area on the map that is not populated by other things. I thought it was a neat story that I think these are rare enough, but they're common, but they're not like something that's celebrated too often. But the idea of like emergent gameplay happening through a coding accident or the way a scripting thing stitches together. So I wanted to use this opportunity to talk about kind of emergent gameplay, maybe something from another developer where that something unintentional created something new, or something you've experienced yourself where just combining systems in a game had a happy accident.
I think I'm more used to like seeing like modded games turning into a full-fledged thing because of the mod. Does that count?
Oh yeah, there's that old Player Unknown's Battlegrounds.
or the Defense of the Ancients too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, because I was gonna say that's how, especially with like Counter-Strike, there's a butt ton of mods, and they had one that was called Zombie Panic Source or something like that, and that evolved into the game Contagion.
Oh yeah, okay.
Which is based by the same people, I believe, that made Zombie Panic. So like it was cool to see that, but for some reason my mind immediately goes to this video. I don't know of what, when, or where. It was definitely some gaming event, but it was for a game on Switch called Snake Pass.
Oh yeah.
And I just remember hearing how that game was formed. Like you just play as a snake, and it has like this cool like physics of you like wrapping around stuff and obstacles. And I believe they said that they were trying to do rope physics for something else entirely. I don't know if it ever became a game or not.
Oh, I heard this
but they
story.
were
Okay.
Yeah, they were just messing with a rope, and then that ended up becoming the main gameplay for the snake. So they got the idea from just out of nowhere for just with that. That's
an interesting, yeah.
It's been jammed in my brain.
I don't think I've experienced anything. Nothing that I can recall off the top of my head. I think when you go and watch speedruns of games, that's when you see all this stuff kind of happening. I'm in full Dark Souls mode, so I may as well just keep talking about it. There is actually something you can do in that game, where you can skip like the last 5 or so bosses and just get right to the final one. Once you obtain a key item and you go to the flame of the first kiln, I can't remember, something like that. Once you place the Lord Vessel, that's the key item. FromSoft made these save points, so that way if like the game crashed out or something, it knew kind of where to spawn you at if it wasn't a bonfire. So there is a big locked door that prevents you from going into the last area of the game where the final boss is. However, they put that safe spot on the other side of the door for that area. So if you go down and place the Lord Vessel and you kind of stand right next to that door, if you Dark Sign or Homeward Bone or find a way to die, and you quit out of the game and like kind of a set series of frames in the loading screen, you will then spawn on the other side of the door, thus not needing to fulfill the requirements of the Lord Vessel, and you can go and run to the last boss.
Oh, wow. Have you done that, or you've seen it?
I've seen it. It's a speedrunning category that they have. So it's like,
Oh, because it's like frame specific.
It's
yeah.
I think it's. I don't think it's a
Yeah.
perfect frame, but there is a set number of frames, and it was something that was in the original, and then it got patched. I think they patched it out. Someone found a way to do it on the Xbox 360 specifically using friend request and and getting out of the game using friend request or whatever. So that was kind of, I heard that was kind of controversial in the community because you needed like an Xbox Live membership and all this other stuff, and only a 360 could do it. And then I just watched a video on this. That's why it's so fresh in my mind. But there is something in the remaster, I think, introduced it. So that way you can do it again on like I think PS4, PC. PC is the key one, and Xbox. But yeah, no,
it's super weird.
It got patched out, but then they found it again, and then I think the remaster kind of brought life back to the glitch or whatever. But yeah, it's crazy.
Makes you think about Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, just all the crazy stuff you can do with the 4 like item. I forgot what they're called.
Surfing on a rock, surfing on a tree.
Yeah.
Or like
making a chainsaw out of a boomerang.
Do you remember the videos of like people that were basically flying through the air on the carts that you would get the down in the Goron area? Yeah. I think two that come to mind. One is a little less because it really is more an example of emergent gameplay. But I think like the idea of like coding things with one intention and then seeing how it gets utilized differently. I think of Hitman a lot. Like Hitman, they did a lot to set up those systems in a specific way, and just seeing how you can kind of have fun in that sandbox. Like we have 2 seasons worth of playing around with that, with those tools. But I think Super Mario Maker was an example of like when I remember making games and making levels with a very specific, like, this is what I see, and then watching people play it, and like things that happened incidentally because I just placed a thing there. Like that was always neat to see. Like I think these are also, yes, these should still be up. Like when Super Mario Maker first came out and we did that challenge between me, Mark, and Kyle of let's make, what was it? We gave each other 5 minutes to make a game or make a level. So we set a timer, 5 minutes, make a stage, and then I made one for Mark, I made one for Kyle, Mark made one for me, one for so on and so forth. And yeah, like there were things where like I think like I made the one for Mark and he was just like, yep, it's done. Like it was just like, whatever, I got it.
Well, I mean,
and,
it was like I think I was stuck on one part, and then once I knew that trick, it was like, all right.
Yeah,
applied it to
and then
everything.
the one I made for Kyle, I made stuff to just like really just troll him, but there were things that he found his way around, but also things that he didn't. That like that was fun, like seeing how like, you know, I set the blocks up in a certain way, and it was cool seeing how people navigated those things. I think also like Sea of Thieves. This is more like the emergent gameplay where like they just drop things in, and then like our stories are different just because of random timing. But the time that we had where the ship almost went down and we had to fight old Meg, that whole mess, like that was just a fun accident of coding.
Man, it's kind of making me think about Forge and Halo.
Yeah,
and just like the games that have spawned out of that because of what people made, like Griffball.
Yeah, that and like dumb stuff that happens. Like, didn't you and I screw around with Forge for like an afternoon and like
maybe? Yeah, I don't think we did anything too substantial.
No, we were literally just like putting things down to see what happened. But like just those little moments like that, I can imagine if you took it further and really like got going with it, it would.
Where can you take a ghost?
Yeah,
that's a fun game.
Yeah, can it go up the stairs? Yes, it can.
Is it supposed to? Probably not.
No. The Jersey will say no, but
speaking of Dark Souls, Matt, I believe we got 2 cans ready to go.
No, sadly no. All right. So this all started right after we recorded last Saturday. I said I was towards the end. I was definitely towards the end, and within a couple hours of playing, I completed Dark Souls 2, the main game, for the first time. That is a journey. That is quite. I think it's the healing system. I wasn't used to the gems. I got so used to the Estus flags from 1 that I had to wrap my mind around using the life gems. I'd be very curious when the time comes, when I go back to that game at some point, to see how I address the beginning of that game differently, instead of just it's one of those things. Instead of just like kind of giving in to the way the game plays, but I didn't do that. I just bashed my head against a wall trying to go around with no heals and no life. So I'd be interested to go back to that game to see how I feel about it a second time. I liked it a lot. I don't think it's a bad game at all. That beginning was rough. That first third, definitely. So then I still had the itch. I'm playing Pokemon Unite, but that game gets my blood pressure going, and I need to stay away from that game at times. So I still had the itch, and downloaded Dark Souls 3. I did not play it though. I will get to that why in a second. I then instead was like, man, I'm real close to that platinum probably in Dark Souls 1. Let me get back to it. Did all the double checking on my list on the platinum guy. Thank God I did, because I missed the list and I had to do a couple things before I approached the new game. But that's why you double check and triple check your list. I then beat the game again. I then did the new game run, and I did enough of it, and I got myself a platinum trophy in Dark Souls Remastered.
Nice.
So,
damn.
I got the Dark Souls platinum. I still have the itch, and I went back to Demon Souls, and I've been going through that. But I want to I've talked about Demon Souls, talked about Dark Souls. We know what these games are. The thing is, I've completed the quest of the main motivation for all of this, and it's because of a stupid fucking shirt I want to be proud to wear. I forget the exact timeline of this, but I played Bloodborne, beat Bloodborne, platinum Bloodborne. I did it all organically. I love that game a lot, obviously. I think thefreecheese.com loves the Bloodborne very much. So I did that. I got Sekiro. I didn't beat it right at launch. I played a lot of it. Then I came back to it later in the year. Probably right before Game of the Year, actually. And then beat it and loved that game a lot. Did not go back for the platinum, but I like that game, and I highly recommend that as a FromSoft game. Then Fangamer came out with this shirt that had, I think it was Fangamer. It was like right around my birthday, I think. It was like the hunter from Bloodborne, the main dude from Sekiro. I can't think. Wolf. I can't think. I'm terrible at it.
Yeah.
And then Solaire, doing his little pose on a shirt. And Victoria, I think, got it for me for my birthday. And I like looked at it, I was like, man, I'm like very proud of the Bloodborne thing. Proud of the Sekiro thing. I never played Dark Souls, but I get it, right? So then I went on to I got the itch to platinum Sekiro, and I did it. And then then this shirt. It's just I got 2 platinum trophies on the shirt, but I've never played the other game. And I feel like if I play and beat the other game, I need to get the platinum. So, what, like 2 years later, after receiving this shirt, I can now proudly wear the shirt representing the 3 platinum trophies and the main quest of this, of how everything started with me getting into all these FromSoft games and the way I've gotten into them in the last year or so. That quest is finally complete. But now it's like, all right, well, I got the Dark Souls 1 platinum. Should I get the other Souls platinum game? Like, so, it's led to other things, but that stupid fucking motivation is what made me go through all this effort and time and pain at times. So, with that, has there been any, like, super dumb motivations that have led you to play a game or a series of games or try to accomplish something specific in said game?
This is for 2021. I think this is pretty stupid, but it's magazines. Because who looks at a magazine anymore? But since doing that Video Game History Foundation thing where they send you a magazine each month, and then also like there's a ton of magazines that are on archive.org that you can just kind of flip through, like old gaming magazines from all over the world. So there's like magazines I'm looking through that are in like Italian or German, or like I can't read any of what's being said, but like looking through and like finding weird games I never knew existed or remembered but completely forgot, and like that's led me to go chase down that game and see what that game is and just at least explore it, whether or not I get into it or not. But that's been sort of like mild motivation to jump into things, is like just looking at magazines that I haven't read, which I think that's pretty dumb.
I spent money in a game for cosmetics just to have that to show off and creep everyone out in Mitomo.
I was going to say you're talking about me too.
Yeah.
It was tasteful. It was tasteful.
Like, they didn't have an actual Isabel costume, so I had to, like, try to get things that were specifically as close as possible to what she wore. And if you ever played those mini games, the items changed, like, hourly or daily or something like that. So, like, I had to wait around to find, like, the perfect sweater vest top or, like, the right plaid skirt or... and then like had to add the art in my room. Had to get the walls and the floor to try to match something that would be something that like she would probably have. So that's pretty dumb. But no, at first I thought you were getting, when you're talking about your story, I thought you were like, for a shirt, I thought you were doing all this to get a shirt.
No,
I didn't realize
I
didn't realize it was to feel worthy of wearing the shirt.
Like, I mean, I definitely wore it, but there was something.
No, that's right. Like you didn't feel complete. You didn't feel like you deserved it.
It was a worse taste in my mouth wearing it than when I glitched that boss in that game.
Yeah,
it was worse.
Oh, dude. I'm wearing a Neo Geo shirt right now that I also got from Fangamer because I was on there ordering stuff one year for Christmas and then saw this and thought it was a cool looking shirt, got it, and realized I barely have ever touched any Neo Geo stuff, and then I did go from this and started playing a whole bunch of it. So shirt again. But no, one that I remembered is Walking the Dogs got me into playing PlayStation 2 and PSP games in the last year. And then Jim Ryan really got me playing that stuff when he tried to kill the PlayStation Network. But last year was the 20th anniversary of PS2. And just ahead of that, a podcast I listened to was doing like their best PS2 whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I think I had been listening to that and then took the dogs on a walk. And for some reason, like we would always get kind of up to this certain point and then stop at this one hill. and it was just like, as you're walking dogs, you're like, is there cars coming? Is there this? Do I have to pick up poop? Like your mind's kind of moving and whatever. And that was always the moment where like I would hit that hill and we'd stop for a moment and I could just like let them hang out while I reflect on something. And for whatever reason, PS2 was the reflection of the day. And now that's just become PS2 Hill to this day. If we go on a walk and we walk by there, I'm like, it's become almost a joke where I start talking about the PS2 just to be a jerk. But I do that, and then there are times where I will go on a dog walk and come back and be like, I should just play a bunch of PS2 games tonight, right? That's what I should do with my life. Let's get way into that. And there was a point where I went through and I tried to relive the PSP launch, so I got the PSP launch games and just played through those as, in small spurts and stuff like that. And I think that was like all just because I went on a walk one day and thought about PlayStation and how cool it used to be.
I think this happens to me, and it's kind of almost about to happen to me again. Like listening to a soundtrack, and not specifically just like any soundtrack for like the soundtrack of the game or whatever. Like every once in a while, I go through my phases of what I want to listen to in Apple Music or whatever. And lately, I've been getting back into like the Monster Cat Rocket League master playlist they have that they built, and like I like the majority of that soundtrack or whatever, and like I can listen to it just fine. Like I should be able to just listen to it just fine, without an itch. But every time I start to listen to it, I'm like, it's time to hop back into Rocket League. The only thing that's preventing me from doing that is because that's another rank climber and another blood pressure boiler, and I already have one of those in my life. So I want to achieve the achievement in Pokemon Unite, becoming a master, and then maybe I'll jump into that. If I kind of lose that Unite itch, because I don't have like a goal to go for. But yeah, no, I think it's an easy answer, but I think sometimes just like music as well.
Well,
yeah, they can totally, yeah.
Yeah, like for me, music is a big part. That's usually when, whether I'm looking for it or not, that's usually when I start like dreaming up things, just getting lost in a song or something. And I've had this one game idea in my head for a while, that I don't know if I'll even, I hope to make eventually, but because of that, it all started one day when I was, I was driving out for lunch, just like taking a break from work, and I listened to Painkiller by Judas Priest. And in my head, it made me think of like something like Road Rash, like a game where it's just like, it just brought up all those, like some type of intense action game. And I was like, yeah, I want to play this, but like with this type of soundtrack or whatever, like it's just so cool. And I couldn't stop picturing that. And that was the spawn of this project that I'm trying to work on. But ever since then, like I'll revisit it like every couple days or so. But because of that, I go into other games now with the mindset of what can I take from this or what can I learn from this, and approach it to that. Like that's why I played Mad Max. That's why I played, or like whatever other games I can't think of at the moment. But like it's something with like that like Arizona desert type setting, or like a wasteland thing, or something with driving, or something with like high octane like combat or something. Like I'm trying to like think of things I wouldn't normally think about before and reapproach these with that mindset. So it's definitely unique.
Yeah, I think that's a good one too. Like how just hearing a Judas Priest song completely set off this chain of events that left game playing and then brought it back to gameplay. That's cool.
Yeah, like I mean, plus I was speeding, so like that might have helped with it. But
So then where do you go from here?
So, like I said, I'm in Demon Souls, and I think this is gonna like probably be a conversation that we have later down the road. But like the Dark Souls playlist is very much like a collectathon, right? It's like get all the weapons, get all the ring. It's like that. You get all the spells. It's all that stuff. Which is like that's fine. That's like that's your typical platinum list. But like what I really like about the Demon Souls one, and I think it's different, or I know it is different from the original PS3 one, because that one is a collectathon, which is a nightmare because there are a lot of different upgradable weapons, or different like upgradable types. I'm sure you've run into the upgradable types in Dark Souls at this point, but like times 3 in Demon Souls, there's a bunch. But they removed that in this one, which is cool. You have to collect rings or whatever. But the main thing is like they want you to take unique approaches to battling the bosses that you probably wouldn't do otherwise, or think to or make you play this game in a way maybe you're not comfortable with. I know, like for me, in Souls, Bloodborne, like I'm always very much a strength, maybe a little bit of dexterity, high vitality, and endurance, and get into someone's face and be careful and just melee build, right? This game, Demon Souls is kind of leading you into more of a magic build for a bunch of the bosses, for like the optional method. So I'm playing like a magic build for the first time, and I'm having like a ton of fun with it. And it's like so weird to wrap my head around, like, oh right, keep my distance and just throw a soul sword, or just cast a spell and just take them out that way. It's very bizarre to wrap my head around, like not being right in their face and hit them with a sword and shield and whatever. So it has me playing the game in a totally different way, which I appreciate a lot. And like I said, I will probably open this conversation to that in another week, or when I probably get the platinum in this. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun playing these games a tiny bit differently, and I think I'm going to see that through. At least one run.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say at least one run with the magic build. I don't know if I do like the new game plus or whatever, but like I'm just having fun playing the game. Not even like for the trophies. Like I have a trophy guide up, but like I'm just having like fun in these games, which is like the first time I think I've had fun in these games since like Dark Souls 2 got good.
Yeah, I think there's a good conversation to have around changing your approach to a game and how that can change the game itself. There's something there to, like what if you played Mario without ever hitting the run button? Could you play Mario without ever hitting the run button? Could you enjoy a fighting game if not every fighting game character in the history of that fighting game ever showed up to it? Moving into our next topic. Everybody's here. King of Fighters 15 revealed during Gamescom opening night live this week that the game's release is February 17th, 2022. It will have a roster of 39 playable characters plus DLC later on, but initially 39 characters, which features every character from the series' history. First, Matt, congratulations once again on the Dark Souls Platinum.
Oh, thank you.
Second, Super Smash Bros. Notably included in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate all characters from its previous games, with additional characters made available as DLC. The total roster is going to be... I kind of went back and forth on this. The official website, it's kind of weird how they break it up because they put like Dark Samus as 4E instead of 4. I don't know. It's like 82 plus characters that are going to be in Smash Brothers, and it's literally every character that's ever been in a Smash Brothers game that you could play, you can still play. Now King of Fighters is doing it. Is this trend something that can continue? Is it something that should continue? Like, do you guys feel like there's I think in Smash Brothers it's cool that if I ever liked a character in a Smash Brothers game in Ultimate, I can play as that character. And there's definitely the other side of it where like Mortal Kombat 11 is fun, but like, yo, where's Striker? Why can't I play as Striker? Why can't I play as Cyrax? What's happening? What are we doing? And same thing, like they put Injustice 1 out on Xbox games for games with gold. And I was excited that one came out because I really liked playing as Zatanna and as Batgirl, and I could do that again. But then I went back and played Injustice 1, and it's not fun to play anymore after you've played Injustice 2 and you've played Mortal Kombat 11, which took those systems and evolved them even more. So it's, in those instances, I think it is well worth the merit of like everybody's here, because I want to play the characters I like, and I have a lot more fun doing so. But I want to play it, with the modern fighting systems in place. What do you think? I mean, is this something that everything should do? Is there ever a reason not to do it?
I'm thinking it's going to depend on the game. And for something like Smash Brothers, it makes sense, but also seeing what goes into that is a lot.
Yes.
And I think Smash Brothers might be the most unique case here, maybe
Certainly.
out of all of them. But just the fact of just adding everybody, just how much time that would take, and what have you, it's definitely a lot of work. But for let's say for like a game like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, something that has a narrative in it, I feel like the narrative should impact the roster. Like if a character died before, they don't come back. I'm sorry. It's just not, unless you found a way to write it back in that they do come back. Sorry, it's gone. And I hope Tekken follows through with that with their characters, because it seems like they're kind of doing that. But
Yeah.
But I like that. Like I like seeing the characters, how they, if they evolve over time, how much look they've changed, if they changed their moves at all a little bit here and there. So I think that's cool, but because Smash doesn't really have, like, yes, it has like a story, but technically, it's not really that that kind of game, where that's not really the forefront. It's just throwing whatever, have fun.
Yeah, it works better for that than
for that type of game. Like if story doesn't matter, sure, if you can do it, why not? But
well, even with Mortal Kombat in that last one, story kind of doesn't matter anymore because they were like time travel, yo.
Yeah, and then still have guest characters.
Yeah.
I mean, they all do it, but
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, DLC's DLC. Like, it's whatever. Have fun with it. But when it comes to like a main roster, yeah, I feel like if there is a story, how much does that have an impact? How much does that matter? I think that should dictate it.
Matt, is there a reason why you wouldn't want all characters in everything ever?
I think the answer is like no, right? I don't think there's like why not do it, but at the same time, like I agree with Mark. Like if there's if you're leaning into story a little bit, like I know Mortal Kombat got weird this time around, but if you're leaning into story, let's talk Deadly Alliance. Like when Liu Kang dies, like
yeah,
like when I agree with that. Like if that character is dead, that they should not be in this game, and it should allow you to use new characters. And as I'm saying that, I think that could be a possible reason, right? You want to, like, if you keep the same roster, you're never going to let these new characters kind of have a chance on center stage. And I think that could be a possible reason not to do it. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like, why not at some point? Or like patch it in later if you want if you want the narrative to be its thing. But like you said, like, we get guest characters all the time, so just like patch in the rest of the past characters, or do it for $10, or maybe that it's grimy, right? But like do it for $10 and you got everyone. I don't know.
I also the other side of it is I do like the approach of having a smaller roster, just in sense of like I feel like in a fighting game especially it's easier to start learning how to counter things when there's fewer characters. Like, like it can be very complicated in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing the same thing Unite right now. Unite versus Dota, it's so much easier to learn characters because the roster's like a fifth of the size.
So, speaking of everybody's here, Nicktoons All-Star Brawl announced this week 2 more characters. 2 more Nickelodeon characters, CatDog and April O'Neil, are coming to the game. And it makes me wonder, why wasn't there a BK Kids Club game?
Bad timing?
All their development resources went to Sneak King.
I feel like I need to do a deep dive into the BK Kids Club
also
and figure out what happened.
Is Wheels offensive?
I don't remember enough about Wheels.
He's just in a wheelchair, but his name is Wheels. Like, is that problematic as a character? Like, we just call him Wheels.
Probably in 2021, yes.
Because if you think about it, usually people don't give themselves nicknames. Other people give them these nicknames. Yeah. So everyone's just like, I don't know his fucking name. Wheels. Come come here, give him a burger. Like, I don't. That's probably why.
But then someone would be like, I don't know. This is just the world we live in now. But like, if you just called him Gary, someone would be like, you're not acknowledging this accessibility, so you're canceled. So like, you can't win anymore.
Yeah.
So
I'm
probably wrong. His name probably isn't Wheels. I thought it was Wheels for some reason, but I might have.
No, Wheels would make sense back then.
No, but I'm confusing it with the scene in X-Men, where the first X-Men movie, where Wolverine is like, he's learning everybody's names, and he's like, it goes Professor X. He's like, what do they call you? Wheels? I was like, I might be, for some reason, that's in my head.
Okay, the BK Kids had a.
I was quizzed on this.
This was a long time ago. Yes, but I remember that.
They had a what do you call it? Commercials with them like animated, and they had a toy line.
Yeah.
Group members, Wheels. His name is Wheels.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, his real name is Wesley Elias.
I was going to say Wesley Snipes.
So.
Are they trying to...
Okay. Here, Mark. This might help better soften this. All of the kids have nicknames. Because they're part of the kids club, they all have a nickname as their kids club nickname. So you've got Boomer. Her real name is Bonnie Meridian.
Oh.
IQ is actually Isaiah Quinton.
Okay, so it plays off of their... Okay.
Jaws is Jamal Williams. JD is a dog. That seems to be his full name.
Just dog.
Just dog. Lingo is Lionel Garcia. Snaps is Ashley Talbot. Wheels is Wesley Elias. And Jazz is Janet Zhu.
Ashley Talbot? Is she a werewolf?
Could be.
No. So I guess they're like their code names, I guess. It's like kids next door is up the set of numbers. They just
Yeah.
They would be spies. They'd be kid spies. That's all kids are. There's 3 movies about them, right? One of them's in 3D.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of movies about them. I think there's more than 3.
Maybe.
The very last kids club meal they did was $19.99 for Teletubbies. Wow. Anyway, deep lore.
But,
let's make a video game out of those.
You have 4 movies.
4 movies. All right.
You got Spy Kids, Spy Kids 2, The Island of Lost Dreams, Spy Kids 3D, Game Over, and then more recently, 2011, Spy Kids, All the Time in the World.
I don't think I watched that one. I watched
Mike Judge was in one or some of those.
Wikipedia has Future.
But now I'm thinking like games that aren't fighting games that could have like big rosters. Like Mario Party needs to have more than whatever they have.
Or just not make
any. No, but any of those Mario spin-off games, Mario Kart, Mario Party, Mario Soccer, Golf, you should have all of the characters ever.
Kart seems to be kind of doing that, but at the same time, they don't. It's weird. Like they still, they have the biggest roster ever now, but they're still missing people they probably had before.
Yes, for sure.
Not too many though. But
no, I think there should be a new Dissidia game that also has everyone ever. Like it's cool that you've got Tifa and Cloud and Sephiroth, but like, what about Barrett? What about
you got
Jesse?
Kane.
What about
Okay, Jesse. Okay, all right. Just because we had an increased role in the remake doesn't mean we need Jesse everywhere now.
Everybody's here.
That's exactly what it means.
Yeah.
Get my Jesse snowboarding game. Like,
unless everything just becomes Mugen at some point, and maybe that's the actual answer. I don't know. But
in that future section, for my birthday, it was a birthday gift to me from Skydance Media. In January 2021, they announced that they are developing a reboot of the series with Robert Rodriguez returning to write and direct.
Okay, very
good.
So
you will have Spy Kids, we're back.
I can't wait.
Kids and spies, man. What a trend.
Yeah. I don't think I ever saw any of them.
Oh, there was this one I
Saw
grew
the
up where
first
Bruce Willis. Did you ever see a show called Bruno?
Bruno, no.
Bruce Willis voiced this kid who had spy gadgets, and then there was also a CG head hologram of Bruce Willis himself, who gives out the missions for this kid. And yeah, and then what? You have like Kim Possible, like you have
Checks out.
As like a Zordon kind of thing, like Bruce
a little
Willis,
bit,
Zordon.
little bit.
Okay.
90s CG Bruce Willis giving kid Bruce Willis, who has glasses and a hoodie, missions to go on as an agent. I think it's called Bruno the Kid or something like that. Kid got a 6 head.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting there too, kid. We've got a little bit of housekeeping to do for next week before we wrap up. But we are right now in the middle of the submission phase for Sage 2021. And I've spent the last 2 weeks going through in secrecy and silence some of what I think are the coolest looking submissions to Sage 2021. You guys are familiar with Sage, right?
No.
Well, I've picked games for you guys to play, submissions for Sage. So I've got, I think currently I've got 13 games total between the three of us. 15 games total. But I've got 3 for each of you. Actually, Mark, you've got 4th because there's just like 2 that I could not choose between.
Oh, god damn it. I looked it up.
And I'm excited. I want the listeners to play along. I also want you guys, if you are so inspired, to do some research yourselves to see if there's anything you like out of these submissions. Now, Matt's already lamenting it because it seems like he's figured out how to use Bing. But Sage is the Sonic Amateur Games Expo 2021. And while Matt already lamented and Mark is making a face, I will have you know, there are some very, very good looking video games that came out of this.
I'm sure they're
so I'm not gonna
better
tell-
than main series Sonic.
Legitimately, dude, like there are people as part of this
Because the bar
annual...
so low is not a compliment.
Not even that. No. There are people each year who are doing things like this is where we see updates on the Sonic 06 remaster project. There's someone who has taken the Game Gear game Triple Trouble or Sonic. Remember whatever that one is. And they've remade it for Genesis. There's some wild things, and there's some things that are not necessarily Sonic specific. There's people who have made things with Sonic as a core inspiration, but they've made their own things. I mean, stuff like Freedom Planet has come out of this. So anyway, I've gone through. I've been watching a lot of these submissions come through, and the ones that I thought looked particularly cool, I've been bookmarking, and I have them organized now for each of us to try out some of them and report back on next week. You can find a lot of the submissions over at sonicfangameshq.com. You can also, a really good source for just kind of seeing quick flashes of what the games look like in action, like usually a quick GIF and like a small write-up about it. If you go to sonicthehedgeblog.com, they've been doing a great job at curating things and posting new games that come through. But I really, really encourage you, if you're listening and you're at all curious about Sonic or things tangentially related, go check that stuff out. And next week, we'll come back after doing some homework on a couple of these, and we'll talk about kind of what we thought of some of these different games. I'm excited. I think you guys are genuinely going to like the ones I picked for you. I did have to troll Matt a little bit, but I even in trolling Matt, I think he's going to like the one game I picked for him. So actually, Matt, yeah, you've got 4 games too. Sorry,
called?
yeah, you guys both have 4.
It's called Demon Souls because that's my...
Hedgehog Souls.
Yeah. Until next week, you can follow everybody on Twitter. The Free Cheese is at Some Free Cheese. Matt is at MattyAce131. Mark is at Aug_Mental. Podcast at thefreecheese.com. If you want to write in and pitch us your BK Kids Club video game, let us know which game series or franchise you want everyone to be here in. Until then, you guys got any big gaming plans for the week?
I'm going to be boring again this week, but Beginning of September, I'm going to throw a curveball into the mix here. I'm very excited about a certain game that's coming to games, I should say, coming to Games with Gold in the first half of September.
I got stoked about something and sent it to Mark that, oh, wait, I think and I are excited about the same thing.
Is it a certain Kojima games?
It is.
I keep saying games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that. Yeah, that'll be out like in tomorrow. 2 days. 2 days it hits Games with Gold. So, yeah, that should be.
Oh, that is this week. I'm sorry. I'm thinking we're earlier in August. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'll be playing that.
What is August?
Yeah, gone.
Yeah. Right.
After July, it's just October for like 3 months.
Basically, yeah. Mark?
I'm probably gonna. I got Spookware, and I want to finish that.
Yeah.
I'm liking where that's going so far. Having fun with that. I'll probably still mess with Phasmo here and there, hoping to see if they patch the VR stuff, fix that any. So that'll always be in my arsenal, I guess, of games. From there, I'm not too sure. I have to see what I'm in the mood for, because like so much has come out that I don't even know which way I want to go yet.
Yeah.
A little overwhelming.
Yeah, you've had especially this last week between Psychonauts and
like I haven't touched it. Any games that come out, I haven't touched any of them. Like No More Heroes.
But that's what I mean. There's been a lot of like
out.
TM games that I'm sure are overwhelming.
Yeah. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm still poking at Dark Souls, and I will tell you, the random number generation for my approach to how many times I play it works too well, and it works so well. So the other night I did pick a number 1 through 10. 6 was the number. I went through it. Maybe no. 8 was the number the one night I did it. So I went through 8 times, and that final time, it just felt like, man, and it happens every time. Like that final one, I forced myself to walk away within the number that's set. And it always leaves me wanting more. And then I went and I cooked and we ate and we got done whatever we were doing. And then I had like 30 minutes to kill before we were going to watch a movie. And I was like, I'll just jump in front of the 30 minutes. Awful. It was the worst thing ever, because then I didn't set a number. I just set a time limit, and that felt weird, and I didn't get as far as I thought I would. And it threw off the whole thing. The next night when I did the 6th, and then I on the 6th death, the 6th you died, and I walked away from it, I still have that yearning. I'm still excited to go back. You know what I mean? Like there's a very real, so I'm appreciating that, but I've been playing through, I almost beat GG Aleste 1. I had beat GG Aleste 3 a while back through that Aleste collection on Switch, and I started to go back through 1 and 2. It kind of like just randomly whatever, but I'm almost done 1. I'm on the final boss of it, but it's tough. The final stage. And then, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I'm excited to check out these Sonic amateur games. Tell you what.
I keep forgetting like that event happens. So
yeah,
I'm curious to.
I've seen some of the screenshots and some of the GIFs in action of these things, and I'm like impressed with what we're getting out of it. So that is it for the Free Cheese Podcast, episode 416. Tell a friend about us. Tell your mom about us. We'll see you next week. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, listener, for listening. Bye.